Okay, we are going to use a combination called the Guass-Jordan method to solve for our x, y, z. So these are our three variables again. The Gaussian method we've looked at before. It's the idea that we're going to have that nice diagonal of ones and a triangle of zeros. So that's the Gaussian part of this. The Jordan part says, don't just stop there. Let's go back a little bit more and let's fill in the other triangle of zeros. And when you do that, that's that Jordan part, then the answer box, which is this column, the left right-hand column, is going to be your answer. So it's just taking it an extra step, a little bit farther to do that. A little bit more of the metrics we're going to kind of work through that way. Just a reminder, I like to start off with a 1 in this first column, and then I'm going to go for those first two zeros. And I'll kind of go through my little key here again in terms of order, because that's sometimes the biggest question is, where do I start? What should I do first? Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in our matrix here. And oh, wait a second. You notice that I don't want to start with the 2. I want to start with this guy. So I'm going to put that second row first. So I've got a 1, 3, -3, 4. And then it doesn't really matter. Honestly, I'm just going to put that next one in because I can see him next. And just be really careful. Some of the mistakes I've made in the past have been that I haven't copied down everything in their exact row. So I always like to double check to make sure that I'm good to go. 2, 4, -1, 9, 3, 1, 2, 7. Okay, so this would be our initial one we're going to start off with. But we're going to take that first step I just talked about, and we're going to try to get the zeros in these first two here. In fact, just for the sake of it, let's go ahead and fill out the top row, because he's going to be one of the very last things that I actually work with. So I'm going to end up kind of copying him over and over that way. Okay, so let's start first by, we want to have this row have that nice 0 in front. So I'm going to times my top row by a -2. And I'm going to put this off to the side here. So I'm going to get a -2, a -6. I'm just distributing that through. -2 times a -3, +6, and a -8. And I put it next to this middle row because I'm going to be combining each of these to get my values. So if I did -2 and 2, I get my 0. And -6 and 4 gives me a -2. 6 and a -1 is going to give me 5. And a -8 and 9 will give me a 1. Okay, so that first row is done. And then let's go ahead and manipulate this next one. We want to get rid of that 3. So I'm going to times this whole thing by a -3. Those are those opposites that always cancel out. And what's cool, if you give yourself space, I'm going to put this one right underneath so I can see them stacked. So you have to kind of decide what works best for you, side by side or stacked. So -3 times 1, -3, -3 times 3, -9, -3 times a -3, +9, and 4 times a -3 is a -12. Okay, so now you can see those nicely stacked. That's going to give me my last row with the 0. 1 and -9 is a -8. 2 and 9 is 11, and 7 and a -12 is a -5. Okay, so we've completed our first one. Then the next thing I do is right here in the middle. Okay, I want him to become a 1. And I chose this one. I promise it's got a nice answer at the end, but it does get ugly, and it's good for you to be able to see that and remember some of those rules that way. So technically what I do in order to have that become a 1, this little nice middle position, is I need to divide it by a -2 so I can get that 1 value in there that way. let's go ahead and just type in that first row, and then we'll go ahead and put the second row in. So 1, 3, -3, 4. And then this is the row I'm changing. That middle row right there, I'm dividing everything by -2. That gives that 1 that I was hoping for. It does give me a -5/2. Okay. And when I times it by that 1, I'm going to get a -1/2. 1/2. Okay. All right. So not so pretty, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. We're going to work our way through it, and most often cases come out nicely that way. All right, so I've got that achieved. Let's go ahead and just put the other one underneath it. Sometimes it's good just to complete the matrix before you try to do too much in one sitting, if you would. Okay, so I achieved my goal there. The next step that we do is I want to have this become a 0. And I'm going to do that by using my middle term now that I have that nice 1 in place. 1, you can just manipulate it to become anything you want, and that's why we choose those 1s as priority. So if I times him by an 8, that's going to give me that opposite value. So distribute that through. I'm going to write it right underneath here. So I have an 8. Now, I'm going to put it off to the side, but you'll find that, again, it's not horrible. If I did 8 times a -5/2, I can actually simplify here, dividing that 2 into the 8, and I get 4 times 5 is a -20. So it kind of came out to be okay after all, surprisingly. If I did 8 times a half, what is half of an 8? It's 4, and then of course that negative clings on that way. Okay, so back to filling in. This is probably the most redundant part of working with the matrix, but it is so critical that you go slow and steady on this, because it can make a huge difference on your answer if you're off. So now we're going to take this third row and we're going to add those 2 up. So I get the 0, I get the 0. 11 minus 20 is a -9, and -5 and -4 is also a -9. Now, if you remember from the Gaussian method, the last thing we needed to achieve was this 1 here on the very end. And that's going to come out super nicely because I can just divide that whole row by a -9, and that's going to give me that 1. So again, it came out okay, even though initially it looked a little overwhelming. Okay, so I'm going to complete this. 1, 3, -3, 4. And I'm just typing this in because, you know, sometimes admittedly, our handwriting isn't just the best. And so I want to make sure it's completely clear for you that way. Okay, so I divide this whole row by a -9. And I have now completed that Gaussian part of this elimination. But we're going to take it the extra step now, and we're going to work our way back in order to achieve this row, or this little corner here is 0s, and that's going to give us our answer in this little column here. So as you could probably imagine, again, my key over here, I'm going to focus on this 0 now as my 5th step, because I can use this 1 to get rid of it. Yay. Okay, so again, not too horrible. I want to have a 5/2 in order to do that, right? So I'm going to times this whole row here by 5/2. Fortunately, timesing by 1 isn't too complicated. So go ahead and distribute that through. It's good to see it underneath, not just always in your head. And now I'm going to combine these 2 rows here. All right, short pause here as we put these back in. Now this row is being combined, so I'm adding the 0s together. I'm adding the 0 and the 1, so having those 0s and that bottom doesn't change that. That -5/2 and 5/2 is 0, and if I do 5/2, minus a half, that gives me 4 halves. I have a common denominator, and I end up with 2. Go figure. So wonderful when it comes out nicely like that. And then, of course, on the bottom, I have my 0, 0, 1, 1. All right, I am nearly there. Think of it, we kind of been working through this a little bit this way. Our next steps with this Jordan method are literally like an arc. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to do this one, and then eventually I'll do that one. So it kind of just falls in. In fact, you see that 4, 5, 6, 7 kind of wraps around that way. Okay, so in order to get rid of this -3 here, I need it to have that +3, and I'm going to use this 1 down here to change that. Okay, so I'm going to use both of these rows to kind of work that way in. So I'm going to times this whole row by a 3. So I have 0, 0, 3, 3, and I'm going to combine these two now to have that little corner eliminate. So combine that, 1 still, 3 and 0 still 3, but that -3 and the 0 becomes, or -3 and the 3 becomes a 0. And then carefully here, I've got a 4 and the 3 becomes a 7. All right, and let's go ahead and just, because we're going to have to change this one again, so I'm going to go ahead and put those in 0, 0, 1, 2, and 1. Okay, so if you want, we can go ahead and fill those out. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, because these two are no longer changing. They are in place. In fact, we in a sense know what our y and our z are. We're just trying to find that last value for the x. Okay, so now I want to get rid of this 3. I'm going to use my y position, my second row, to do that. I'm going to times him by a -3 and then combine. So I have 0, -3, 0, -6. And then we'll add those two columns up. So 0 and 1 is 1, -3 and 3 is 0, 0 and 0 is still 0, and 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay, notice this nice, cool little pattern effect. We've taken it, this bottom one again was our G. I like to think of this top triangle as our J, and together our answer is right there on that last column of 1, 2, 1. And like again, let's go ahead and check one of these, but this has to work for all 3 of my rows. Let's go ahead and just check one of them. Let's do the top one because it's visible. So I'm going to do 2 times the x plus 4 times the y minus the z should equal 9. Well, 2 plus 8 is 10 minus 1 equals 9. And I would just encourage you, if you've got time, especially say on a test, or if you're shooting for 100% for everything, to check to make sure that your answer works for every one of them, because it will need to in that math fashion. And that is how we do the Guass-Jordan elimination to solve for 3 variables.